So on my journey also and working with people from around the world and having observed what happened in the past 20 months roughly, as a scientist, one of the characteristics is to observe what's happening around to identify patterns and trends to be able to make sense of the world and situation. And one of the things I realized working with all these people, there's three major problems that they are confronted with. The first problem is that I notice is that there is a hyper connection with the outside world. And this is really with the birthing of social media. Since social media, Facebook, people have becoming hyper connected with the outside world. They have huge amount of friends, whatever friends means to them. But this problem is that this hyper connection to the outside world, the hyper connection to other people's authority, other people's opinion, has made them really disconnected with who they are. So although they feel a lot more integrated and connected with people, they are highly disconnected with themselves. And so they're not taking the time to inquire about who they really are and get some clarity about their identity. A joke could be that it's easier to ask Google, tell me who I am, than trying to find the answer yourself. You're just going to Google it and tell me, Facebook, who I am. But really, the key is that you have to do some work in order to identify who you are, your unique identity. And this is by doing this type of work to develop your self awareness that is going to give you an unfair advantage both in your career and in your life. Although progress and technology has allowed us to connect to a lot more things and feel a lot more connected, the drawback is that many people are highly disconnected with themselves. The second problem, and this is also related to the birth of social media and the hyper connection, is that because we can connect with everyone online, there's a tendency to compare ourselves with others. And that can lead to a lot of stress, anxiety, and self doubt. The bright side of social media is that you increase your circle of influence, you increase your circle of knowledge because you're able to connect with more people. But there's also a dark side to social media, which is it increases anxiety and panic attacks and depression. And there's an obsession with comparing ourselves with others. There's insecurity around self-esteem because you're constantly comparing yourself with other ideals. There's more and more things that you're trying to compare yourself with something that doesn't even exist, that isn't even real. And Twitter is really interesting because Twitter is all about 140 characters, but it's constant bombardment of information. And that creates for many people a fear of missing out. And so we're constantly living and plugged in into the outside world. And that is trapping our attention, our energy, but is also creating a lot of turmoil internally, such as stress, anxiety, and a lot of self-doubt because we start to define ourselves based on other people rather than really knowing who we are. And so the social media has created a lot of pressure. And if you look at some of the statistics, it's interesting to see that 60% of the people believe the pressure to look good is now unbearable because of social media. We have become so dependent on technology and the ability to connect ourselves with everyone around the globe has pushed that constant comparison with others, which ultimately undermines our self-esteem, our self-worth, creates self-doubt, and our ability to believe in ourselves. And so that is the second problem I've seen and I've witnessed over the years with that growth of social media. The third problem also that I've observed is that very often we look for people that are successful and we try to borrow their strategy, hoping that their strategy is going to work for us. The problem is that they are different people. We are not the same. And so trying to copy other people, hoping that their strategy is going to work for us, very often doesn't work and result in a lot of frustration and creating a lot of self-doubt. And so I just put that quote really summarize that aspect of, trying to borrow other people's success stories and success strategies. Life is the most difficult exam. Many people fail because they try to copy others, not realizing that everyone has a different exam. And so life is unique and individual for each one of us. And trying to copy someone else's path is actually denying our own past, denying our own greatness and our own uniqueness. And that often leads to issues in terms of mental health, depression, anxiety, lack of motivation, and frustration, just because that sets us for unrealistic expectation about who we were and what we're supposed to achieve. And so these are the three major problems that I find that usually have a strong impact in people's career and in life.